This reading is taken from the book Our Faithful God Answers to Prayer, collected and edited by James H. Smith, London and Edinburgh, Marshall Brothers Limited Publishers, the year 1911. A husband's conversion. A godly woman had a very ungodly husband and was much distressed by his conduct. Instead of getting better, he grew worse, and lately he forbade her to speak to him on religious subjects. She prayed much for him and reasoned with him, but her prayers and entreaties were of no avail. In great distress of mind, she went to her minister and told him how her husband had prohibited her from trying to win him to Christ. The minister replied that he might forbid her to speak, but he could not prevent them praying for him. The doors of heaven were still open, and the prayer of faith could gain admittance. They prayed earnestly for him, and his wife went home to continue her pleadings. One Sunday morning, sometime afterwards, he rose and went out to spend the day in his usual way. As he passed along, he saw a tract lying on the street, and stooping down to look at the title, he saw the words, "One shall be taken and the other left." The phrase seemed very personal and evidently applied to himself and his wife. She would be taken and he would be left. Would it actually come some day to this? If he continued his present wicked life, he knew it would. The thought pierced him like an arrow. His peace was gone, and there was no pleasure for him that Sunday. He turned homeward and went at once to bed. He lay troubled and uneasy, for when conviction of sin comes home to a man's heart, all the bravado leaves him. In the evening, as the bells were ringing for worship, he rose and told his wife he was going to church with her. She was greatly astonished, but also greatly delighted. Perhaps her prayers were to be answered after all. A higher power was dealing with him now. They went together to church, and the minister who had encouraged her and prayed with her was the preacher. But what was her husband's amazement as he heard the text given out, "One shall be taken and the other left." Surely the hand of God was in this. The words had stared him in the face in the morning. They had arrested him and prevented his habitual sin of Sabbath breaking. They had sent him all day to bed in distress of soul, and now the minister read them from the word of God, as if meant specially for him. It was too much for him. Humbled and penitent, he there and then accepted God's offered salvation. There was joy in heaven and joy in the heart of his praying wife, because her husband was converted and her prayers of years were answered. The change in his life was great. He wished now to do something to show his gratitude to the Lord who had mercifully saved him. He began work among the young and for many years labored jealously for their salvation.